how would you configure scenario? Schedule appointment instruction to a receptionist, lock a psych evaluation by the MD, and have different people involved. Okay, so the same way, and thank you for all the questions, it's very helpful. So right here we have two tasks, right? It happened to be Josh needs to go lock this assessment, and then ClinicTracker needs to go send this text message. Right? We can have essentially as many of these tasks as we want. Right? So we could add another task here that says schedule an appointment instructions for the receptionist. Right? So you give your task a name, schedule instructions. And then just like we were doing before, we need to define what it is that this person or this group of people needs to do, right? Maybe it's a form action if you had a form that was, scheduling instructions to complete, but maybe it was just something else. Maybe this is just like a reminder that you need to go do something, right? Call the patient, they're not using the patient portal, go call the patient and schedule their first visit, right? So you can just type that in. And then we say when it's due, all right, within 1 day of when we created the demographic record, that's when it's due. And you see things like if the due date falls on a weekend, we can push it back to the, push it up to the previous Friday or back to the following Monday. And then you can say who's responsible, all right? And so you might have a group defined here that's your scheduling team, right? And we can set those up through the maintenance menus. And we would say, instead of calling it group 1, we would call it scheduling group. And the task would get assigned to that group as a whole, right? And so in this way, you see, regardless of how many different things you ask, how do we do this? How do we do this? How do we do this? If they're all based on the fact that we just created a patient record, they're just more tasks that you're creating, right? That can have different responsibilities, different due dates, and different actions. Right? When a task is assigned to a group, each individual member of the group will see the task show on their task dashboard. But then you also have the ability to either have one of the members of the group say, I completed the task, and just mark it complete, and then it would drop off from the group as a whole. Or you can have somebody kind of grab responsibility and say, okay, I know it's assigned to our scheduling group, but I'm going to be in charge of this particular task. And they can basically assign the task to themselves. All right, thank you again for all the questions there. All right, and then just to maybe wrap up, we talked about I mentioned something could be assigned to a group. All right, so in this case, I'm the current responsible here, but if that was said the current responsible was our scheduling team, I have the ability to say, okay, I know it's could be handled by any member of that group, but just by right-clicking on this line, I can say I want to assign it to myself. I want to take responsibility, or I want to assign it to somebody else.